Good morning all, it's Lynn here from Destiny Fulfilled. I do hope that today finds you well. The card that I've drawn for the collective today is the Justice card. Now I know we've had this recently in the recent past, can't remember when exactly, but this card calls for us, some indications of this card is, fairness, justice, understanding when to use your sword, right? Because the sword's there in this card as well. Integrity, objectivity, standing, accountability, perspective is also another indication of this card. You could also think about it as, you are responsible for what you put into your scales and you're accountable for what, becomes of that, right? So this card is all about personal integrity. It's all about fairness, justice, balance, karma, the truth of a situation. They're all energies and situations associated with the Justice card. Now its number is number 11, which is a master number. So for those of you that wish to delve more into numerology, you can look up on Google the master number 11 from a source that resonates with you, and then you can look into that. Might have more messages there for you as well. So this card actually calls for us to look at the experiences that we have and learn from them. The good, the bad, the beautiful, and the ugly, right? So all of the experiences that we have lessons in them for us. So a question you might want to, the first question you might want to ponder or journal on is, what are 2 or 3 lessons that you've had in your experience so far that have had valuable lessons for you? Now, whether they be positive, negative, or indifferent, the message that, or the lesson that you get from those is the message that you got. So have a think about what that meant, what those lessons were and how they played out in your life, what the situation was, how they played out in your life, what you took from that, and how that had a flow-on effect possibly for other activities or experiences that you've had since then. The next question would be to look at a situation in your past where initially you thought there was no lesson in that. It just happened and, I didn't get anything from it. Go back to that and have a look at that experience again. Delve down a little deeper this time and see if, in fact, there was a lesson there for you. Is it something that you don't want to face? Is that why you're not seeing it? Or it may be that now with time, maturity, understanding, other experiences, we can now go back to that particular experience and see the lesson that was actually there for us, which we didn't pick up on when we were experiencing it or shortly after. And the next question you might want to ask is, how do you feel about working on your shadow self? Lifting the lid on that on the shadow aspects of ourselves can be tricky at times. And I do recommend that if you are lifting the lid on your shadow side and really stuff's coming up that is very triggering and is related to significant trauma that you've had in your life, then please work through this with a professional, right? With a counselor, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, or a therapist of some sort. You may, if it's not as traumatic, or, you may also wish to work through this with a friend, a significant person in your life that you can trust and support as well. But I do recommend that if this is particularly triggering and is related to a very traumatic event, that you do work through this shadow work with a professional person who can guide you and support you significantly significantly as you work through. But if it's something that you think you can handle, you're comfortable working through it, then lift the lid on some of that shadow work and, stick your toe in the water and see, how do you actually feel about working on those darker aspects of yourself, on those looking at and processing those more difficult situations that you've had to experience in your life, and see if there are lessons in there that inform you today in your journey. And lastly, how do you actually feel about situations and events that occurred where you did not act in your integrity? You weren't standing in your stellar self is another phrase that I like to use, where you weren't acting in your strength, in your positive light, in love even. We all have them, right? We've all done things that we wish we hadn't done. We've all experienced and partaken in events which, we regret. How do you actually feel about those events? How do you feel about yourself? And those events or situations that you found yourself in, and how you reacted or acted in those situations? What lessons can you now gather from those, which can then inform you about your future actions, your future reactions, the way that you might act again in the future? So have a little bit of a delve around those not so stellar moments where, there are very valuable lessons to be learnt from those times when we weren't acting in our highest integrity. Anyway, that is all I have for justice today. I wish you love and light as your day progresses, and I shall see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.